मॉर्निंग। मैं हूं आपका दोस्त मदन सिंह and I'm going to talk to you on the war between Israel and Iran. It's not a war between two nations. Actually, it's a war between two civilizations. That is the Shia civilization and the Hebrew religion civilization. That is the Jewish. Now, Iran has repeatedly been saying that world Jewry needs to be destroyed, and Iran feels that the state of Israel should cease to exist. That is the genesis of this conflict. And since Iran doesn't have the military power to match Israel, they think that they can get this parity done up with the atomic bomb. Now, the world is not keen that Iran should have the atomic bomb, because you can't have an atomic bomb before and give it to unreliable nations. And the way things are going, Iran is a pretty unreliable country in any field. Donald Trump, of course, I can tell you, didn't want the war with Iran, and he was carrying out negotiations with the Iranians to have a deal. And he even offered to the Iranians that whatever nuclear fissile material, that is the uranium you have, hand it over to Russia, and Russia will give it to you as and when you require for peaceful purposes. But Khomeini, the Iranian leader, point blank refused. And he repeated his assertion that he would wipe out Israel from the world map. Now, these are very dangerous statements to make. And obviously, it's a question of survival of the Jewish state. The world knew the intentions of Iran, and that is why perhaps nobody was in favor of Iran. I think the only countries coming in favor of Iran are China and Turkey and one odd country here and there, maybe Qatar. But the entire Sunni world, led by Saudi Arabia, Jordan and the UAE and the West, including India, are in favor of Israel. Because Israel is such a tiny state, and if you drop one atomic bomb on Israel, that will be the end of the state. So it's a matter of survival, and the Iranians have to face the music for it. I have yet not been able to understand the dichotomy, the thinking of the Iranian leadership in wanting to destroy Israel. When their own people are unhappy and they've been executing small boys, number one. Number two, they've been even putting women in jail who don't want to wear the hijab. I think few of them were killed also. It's a sad state of affairs. So the battle had to be fought, and probably Donald Trump had warned Iran that you better come to an agreement within 60 days. Otherwise, in the 61st day, they will be hell to pay. And this has precisely happened. On the 61st day, the Israelis struck Iran. And it was a very devastating attack. Within about 3 or 4 days of batting, despite the Iranians attacking Israel with some ballistic missiles, drones and all that, the battle seems to have been won by Israel. That is the point. What are the plus points? The Iranian air defenses are completely overwhelmed, number one. Number two, their top scientists, military leaders, including the Revolutionary Guard generals, have all been killed. These are precision attacks by the Israelis. And number three, the command centers, the military centers of the Iranian Revolutionary Guard and the Iranian army have been smashed. So Iran has been at a loss. And now the latest report which I'm getting is that Iran probably wants to have a ceasefire. Maybe it's a ploy, but Donald Trump is not going to agree to it, and neither the Israelis. Now there's a G7 meeting on in Canada, and Trump showed his displeasure with the G7 when he left the meeting after one day. And he also made it very clear there that Russia should not have been expelled from the G7. Otherwise, the G7 was going to pass a resolution which would have been sort of mollycoddle Iran or something. But once Donald Trump put his foot down, the G7 has issued a statement that Iran cannot be allowed to have nuclear weapons. Now, that is the crux of the issue. And I think once Iran is sorted out, the Israelis will soon sort out Pakistan as well, which also is an infant terrible, Now, India, of course, got no choice, you can't side with Iran, and India has to be with Israel. It's by force of circumstances, because Israel is the only country that supported India when India mounted the assault on Pakistan terrorist centers. No other country in the world other than Afghanistan backed India out of 193 countries. And in addition, Iran was against India. It never supported India. And Iran has gone on record and said that the Indians were persecuting the Kashmiris. And neither has Iran ever said that Kashmir is a part of India. Number three, Iran also refused to condemn the Pakistanis for the Pahalgam massacre. So I don't think Iran can claim to be a friend of India. When you're a friend all through thick and thin. And there's so many people, the press in India talking that Iran is a great friend of India. I don't see what sort of friendship Iran has with India if this is the way they've been behaving. Israel is the only friend that India has got, and India has alienated the Americans, the Russians, and that is not a good thing. I think it's a fault of Indian diplomacy. I'll talk about this. I've already made a video on this if people would like to see it. I'd rather watch it. Now, coming down to this war, I think there was some damage to Israel after the the Iranians launched the missiles. But the fact remains now, the Iranian air defenses have been overwhelmed. And Donald Trump has asked the Iranians to vacate the city of Tehran, which is their capital, because it has no air cover, and the Iranians could get bombed any time at the will of the Israelis. The Israelis have had the latest equipment. Of course, they have the backing of the Americans. There's no doubt about it. And they have the backing of the Arab world. The Saudis, the UAE, Iraq, all these countries, Jordan, they were backing, even Egypt, they were backing the Israelis. Nobody's backing Iran because they don't want Iran to have the atomic bomb. And if Iran has the atomic bomb, it's going to be after Israel, they'd use it on Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is one of the big enemies of Iran. Well, the battle, gentlemen, is very simple. It's not been a land battle. And we must draw lessons from this war. The days, I think, of land battle are coming to an end. Probably the last land battle is going to be in Ukraine, which is going on at the moment, and the Russians are making good progress finally after 3 years. As far as Iran is concerned, it was an air warfare and a warfare of intelligence, a warfare of artificial intelligence, a warfare which brought cyber technology into the field. So big times have changed. The Indians also should concentrate on this method because the army, even in the last scrap with Pakistan, was not used, neither was the navy. And in this case, it is the Iranian Air Force which just could not act. It couldn't take off. There's nothing. They didn't have any plane in any case to go and hit Israel. So they used ballistic missiles and drones, and I don't think there's been that much of a success. Donald Trump has gone on record and said the Israelis are doing very well in the battle, and I think they are doing. My assessment is that Iran is slowly coming on its knees, and I think there should be a change of regime there. I think Khomeini, he's a wonderful chap. Maybe I think he's a good man to have talked to, but he's leading the Iranian people to destruction. That part must be very clear. And at the same time, gentlemen, let's be very clear also that Iran is not a friend of India, number one. And number two, Iran is the enfant terrible of the world, like the bull in the Chinese shop. So the nuclear weapons cannot be given to the Iranian leadership. I'm very glad that the G7 had said that Iran will not be allowed to have nuclear weapons. I don't think they will have nuclear weapons now. And if they try, I think they'll be held to pay for the Iranians, including destruction all around. The battle is on, and one thing is very clear now, that the Iranians are not a match to the Israelis. Israel has got tremendous support, not only from the Arab world, but also from the USA. We must remember that the Israelis used the F-35 strike aircraft, which is a stealth fighter, in the first assault on Iran. Now the stealth fighter doesn't have a range of 4,000 kilometers to go and come back. So obviously this plane was helped by airfields and refueling all over the Middle East. So other countries helped Israel in this attack. And hats off to the Israelis, they were precision attacks. And the Iranian military leadership, including the leadership of the Revolutionary Guards and all these people, the police and important scientists who are working on the projects have all been killed. I'm not happy that anybody should get killed, but then this is war, and war is war. the nuclear assets of Iran have been hit, and I think in one of them there have been earthquake because some of the fissile material must have exploded, and Iran is now on its last legs and is naturally looking for a face-saving way out and asking for a ceasefire. This is the same country which was talking of destruction of Zionism and all that crap, I would say crap. But the fact remains that now the battle is in the favor of the Israelis. I don't know, gentlemen, what's going to happen further, but I think Iran overshot its bolt. If there was a wise leader, he would have made peace, bided his time, and then won the confidence of the West, and then perhaps made nuclear weapons like Pakistan has done. But Pakistan also shouldn't feel very happy, because once the Iranian imbroglio, the nuclear weapons, is sorted out, I think Pakistan is next on the list. It is also a highly unstable country, and it is guilty of proliferation of nuclear weapons. They give the secrets to North Korea and other countries, and obviously the Pakis must be made to pay. I hope they do it. I hope Israel does it. But as it stands, my assessment of the war is that Iran is on its last legs. It has been defeated. I hope, gentlemen, you like my view, my videos. Please subscribe to my channel, share with your friends. In the meanwhile, I'll say goodbye, God bless, and Jai Hind. That's the last word. Bye-bye.